This Week in Bidenomics Flameout. So what this article is essentially just kind of a look at what happened in this 1 week. And so here's kind of an itemized list of President Biden's worst week. Inflation hit 7%, the highest level since 1982. So that's the highest level in 40 years, guys. Retail sales fell by the most in 10 months. So retail sales are not compensating for it. The Supreme Court blocked Biden's vaccine mandate for most employers. Stocks are starting 22 in a slump as investors fret about inflation and rising interest rates. Hospitals are filling with COVID patients once again, and Americans are in the foulest mood since Biden took office in last January. So that article that I read to you, if it wasn't bad enough, Biden keeps on doubling down on dumb and fighting his own party. So in the midst of everything that's going on that I just read, he is not getting consent with his Build Back Better agenda in his own party. And then he is also continually speaking about voting rights bills and voting rights reform that is really unpopular even in his own party. So the article goes on to even say this. A handful of senators from his own party quickly shot down the idea they're speaking about here is trying to destroy the filibuster and continuing to call that some racist relic. But they're quickly shooting down that idea as if the White House never thought to check with them beforehand. The voting bill appears to have no chance, so Biden spent scarce political capital on a measure his own brain trust should have known was doomed to fail. The Democratic Party is now as inept as the GOP is corrupt. Well, as you can tell, not very impartial there, because if you don't think that the Democratic Party is also corrupt, well, then I don't know where you've been for the last forever. Because if there's one thing we should agree across political party lines is that politicians are corrupt, and this is happening right in front of our face with this voting rights bill. Biden is clearly trying to drum up old emotional feelings from our past to try to manipulate people in the present. Now, I'm gonna try to play it safe here, and I'm just gonna say this. The only reason that Biden wants to destroy the filibuster is because he is having no luck with any of the things that he's trying to implement. And he figures rather than go through the process of trying to figure out something that will pass in the House and the Senate, I'm just going to destroy it all so that I can make it happen, so that I can say I did something. Because the man has blundered everything that he's tried to do since the very beginning. And he's desperate for a win because he is now in the 33% in terms of his approval rating, lower than Donald Trump ever got. And in the midst of that, the White House is desperately floundering to try to defend all of the whiffs that they have in coming to the plate. And so here is Kamala Harris, just being the best politician that you could possibly imagine in defending what Biden is doing.
At what point does the administration say, you know what, this strategy isn't working, we're going to change strategies?
No, I have to stop it there already. At what point do they say this isn't working? Well, they never say that. Because to admit that what they're doing isn't working is to admit defeat and to admit that they may actually be wrong. Now, this is where I just have to say, guys, like, you know this. If any of our politicians actually got hired one day on a job in a Fortune 500 company and they acted the way they do in terms of blaming everybody else for the silly and dumb things that they do, or constantly trying to manipulate their way into changing things by saying, you know what, hey, if you don't like what I'm doing, if you don't like the direction of the company, then I just really, really want to encourage you, all of my employees. I know that there are going to be questions about the direction I'm leading this company, but I have to tell you, if you disagree with that, all of my employees, it is because you're all racist. Like, you would be fired the next day if you were the CEO of a Fortune 500 company and you acted like any of our politicians do. But nonetheless, they can't admit that they're wrong. And we're going to hear Kamala show you that she has no ability, no matter how ridiculous she sounds in her defense, trying to admit that what they're doing is wrong.
6 former administration officials last week wrote that open letter urging the administration to change course, to change strategy. Is it time?
It is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day. Every day it is time for us to agree.
I'm going to try this one out. Carpe diem. We must seize the day because there are days that must be seized And when we seize those days will be seized, because seizing the day is a day that we must seize, and every day is a day that we must seize. Come on, man. If that didn't hit you right here, I don't know what's wrong with you. You must just not have a heart. Okay, so the reason that she's having such a hard time trying to defend all of the whiffs that are coming out of her administration is because it's indefensible, because they're doing things that are absolutely ridiculous. And the chief among them is continuing to castigate people as racist if they disagree with Biden, and to continue to promote voting rights bills that ultimately really are just an attempt to try to destroy the filibuster and rejigger the government. How else do you explain their talking points? Here's Biden once again speaking about why he thinks the voting rights bill disenfranchises black people.
How do you want to be remembered? At consequential moments in history, they present a choice. Do you want to be on the side of Dr. King or George Wallace? Do you want to be on the side of John Lewis or Bull Connor? Do you want to be on the side of Abraham Lincoln or Jefferson Davis? This is the moment to decide, to defend our elections, to defend our democracy. Longer lines at the polls. Lines that can last for hours. You've seen it with your own eyes. People get tired. They get hungry. When the Bible teaches us to feed the hungry and give water to the thirsty, the new Georgia law actually makes it illegal. Think of this. I mean, it's 2020, and now 22, going into that election. It makes it illegal to bring your neighbors, your fellow voters, food or water while they wait in line to vote. What in the heck are we talking about?
Okay, so Biden mentions two things there. Both of them are incredibly dishonest. First of all, to identify yourself at a polling place, and I've read through the Georgia bill, there are multiple ways for an individual to identify themselves. It doesn't even have to be a driver's license. It can be, in some places, it can be an electric bill, for crying out loud, to prove that you actually are who you say you are. Now, if that is racist, then you don't know what racism is, okay? Then the second thing is this, is that you can't eat and drink in line, or let me double back. You cannot be given food and water in line. Now, he thinks this is such a stellar point that he has to cuss about it, and then all of the SEALs behind him laugh. This is the most ridiculous part of all of this. First of all, there's nothing that states that you can't bring your own food and water. What's wrong with you bringing your own food and water if you're so peckish that you need a snack while you're standing for an hour and a half in line when you go to vote? But that law is really just an attempt to do this, and Biden knows it, but he's being dishonest. It's merely an attempt to keep people who have vote for Biden shirts and who are offering water and food to people while they're voting in line. It's to keep them from doing that. It's called electioneering. It's why you can't have a sign in your face with a person trying to say vote for Joe Biden while you're waiting to vote. It's because it's illegal, and it should be illegal. So bring your own darn water and bring your own snack if you desperately need one while you're standing in line to vote. There's nothing racist about it. What this really is an attempt to try to totally reshape the Senate by destroying the filibuster. The filibuster, of course, is the thing that people will use who are in the minority to try to stop the majority from overrunning them. And of course, that's not racist. What this really is all about is that Biden isn't getting his way, and so he's wanting to rig the game so that he can get his way. So he wants to destroy the filibuster. This is what this was really all about. But I am not the one who has a problem with destroying the filibuster as much as other people in the Senate, including Biden when he was a senator, so you can hear from the horse's mouth.
Make no mistake. This nuclear option is ultimately an example of the arrogance of power. It is a fundamental power grab by the majority party.
Ending the filibuster is a very dangerous thing to do because it's been used by progressives our whole time to make sure that we did not get rolled over.
And then moreover, If Biden really thought this was racist, if Biden really thought that the filibuster was such a Jim Crow relic it should never be used, then why did his party just use it to make sure that a sanction that I believe Ted Cruz, but the Republicans brought up against Russia and the Nord Stream pipeline was quashed, and the Democrats used the filibuster in order to do it? Well, the truth that we all know is just simply this, that the filibuster being destroyed is just Biden's way of trying to curry some favor in the midst of him being an abysmal failure.
You can catch brand new episodes of Indie Thinker with Reed Huberman every Monday and weekly bonus episodes to keep you thinking throughout the week. But you have to subscribe and click the bell to be notified when new episodes drop. If you enjoy this content, make sure to like this video and share it with friends.